Hello everyone, my name is Dave. I'm one of the game designers for the MMORPG Ethereal Echoes of Yore, and today I wanted to share with you all an outline that I've put together that showcases the 4 core goals that we're trying to implement in the game in the short, medium, and long-term future. The goal of this outline is to be transparent to the player base and have all of you understand the types of things we are working on so that you're not really in the dark with our development. And we as developers and designers of the game want to make sure that we communicate as much as we can to you all so that if there are any questions you have about our designs, we can work collaboratively to help improve the game together. The first thing that we've been working on are core improvements. So we want to improve the stability of the game and add quality of life. So the first thing that we've done is UI updates. We've refactored the UI, and if you saw my previous video, we are including more UI updates in the near future. For performance, Ryan has done a good job at reducing draw calls in many towns such as Seaholm and Farwood and part of Edgervine, and we're continuing to improve the graphical profile settings so that if you're actually selecting low quality, medium quality, and high quality and ultra quality, you're getting radically different profiles that reduce the number of draw calls. I am currently working on improving the monster balance, specifically increasing the time to kill of monsters so that there's more room for gear to augment your time to kill. So I'm trading health for damage. Less damage, more health for mobs. This is important so that when you get more gear, you can see that impact instead of, one or two shotting every mob early game. So for loot table adjustments, we've added items to the game, and we're also adjusting the drop rates of certain items off mobs. If we pull the example of a wolf, almost every time you kill the wolf, you got an adrenal gland and wolf meat. I've adjusted drop percentages so that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you'll get only one adrenal gland, sometimes you'll get wolf meat, sometimes you'll get both, but not every single time. Additionally, we've added more quests to the game. If you go to Edgervine, you'll notice about 5 to 6 more quests, and we plan on adding more and more quests to the game to help establish more lore and to also give players more direction on that front. We are also improving and have improved the new player experience, especially in Solitary Isles, where we've been adding quest markers for everything. We've optimized the breadcrumbing from one stage to another. We've just kind of improved and streamlined that flow so that players don't get stuck. And we're continuing to improve the new player experience in a lot of other facets. And as you know, all quality of life and bug fixes, you guys in the community have done such a good job at showing us bugs in the game, and we're here to address them as soon as we can. So that's sort of the goal 1 that we're almost done with. After we do that, we're moving towards more of a content release, with goal number 2 being system improvements. So the goal of this is to improve the systems that we have. And this is a combination of adding things and also modifying things that exist. We want to figure out a way to expand profession systems. They're pretty linear right now, and we want to make ways for it to be a little bit dynamic. Maybe a profession will have connections to a quest, or maybe there's more intermediate and variability with different professions on how they interact with each other. We're still at the theory crafting stage for that, but we want to create a more dynamic profession system that's not just incremental with increased gear. We also want to make the profession systems impact other systems as well. So we're working on that. We are adding 3 new dungeons, and we're working on all 3. Another thing I've been doing is adding to the main world. And so I'm improving the visual fidelity of particular spots, adding a little bit more detail to spots that already exist. I'm adding more monsters to the game, and then I'm also adding more points of interest, especially around that Edgervine, and Edgervine proper area. I'm starting at Edgervine and I'm expanding out in circles. And after that, social systems. We really working hard on a bank overhaul. Instead of the bank being at a particular spot in the world, it's going to be universal. So wherever you access the bank, you'll be able to move all your items from that point, and that will be consistent across any bank that you access. Obviously, there's a lot of database work and quality assurance checking that we're doing, and we want to make sure that this is right, because once we adopt this system, it's going to affect all of your storage. And then after that, we'll be working on the trading post, which is the auction house of the game. That'll be a really big addition to the game, but we're not doing that until we are finished with the bank. And then we're also going to be working on an inventory rework, which I imagine is going to take a lot of functionality from the bank mechanics. In my previous video, I showed you an example of the inventory system and also the character system. So that's sort of goal 2. Once we're done with that, we want to implement something called relics, and I will make a video about relics soon. But relics are essentially a equipable class that allows you to increase your creativity and variety when playing the game. The idea is that each relic is basically an item that you equip, and you learn the abilities of that particular class, and you're able to take it off and equip another relic, and that'll give you another class's abilities. And you'll be able to do this within a main city. And the idea is that this will allow you to class switch and try out different play styles. And so these relic schools will be organized within a particular hierarchy. So Demonism will have a certain amount of relics underneath that. Empyrean will have, like Priest and Crusader. So basically we have domains and umbrellas for these different relics. And leveling a class from one school will influence the experience across the other classes. So leveling up a Crusader will give you the same leveling experience as a Priest. So right now we've created the relic schools, and then we need to also create all of the relics themselves and create those systems that allow you to learn the abilities when you equip them. We want to also create a currency to buy the relics. This would be an in-game currency that you do by completing particular activities that we're also building out, and this currency will be called Primordium. Primordium will be used for a lot of things, but one of the things will be to buy relics from other schools or within your school. So eventually you'll grow your collection of relics over time. And then obviously the last thing is we want to conceptualize new classes and new relics. What types of playstyles, themes, and class fantasies do you guys think we don't have in our game? We would love any type of community participation, any ideas that you would have. We've already taken feedback from other players and have been conceptualizing classes based on their feedback. So after relics, we want to also work on endgame systems. And the idea of our endgame is to basically facilitate a capstone achievement system, but also a journey to reach those capstone achievements that's a little bit more unique than how it plays out in other MMOs. So I like to call the progression diagonal progression. The idea is that for particular encounters, you would need a particular gear loadout that allows you to accomplish that encounter. If any of you are familiar with Monster Hunter, there are certain bosses in that game that are vulnerable to certain elements or vulnerable to certain types of combinations of loadouts. It's sort of similar to that, where you need to build your character in a certain way in order to optimize an encounter. And because this game will be tied to the economy a lot, you'll want to optimize all of those encounters. So the idea is that when you build those different loadouts, you'll be able to vertically progress, and then you'll have to horizontally progress to get the correct loadouts on that stage, to vertically progress again, and so on. So then we want to reward players for doing all of this, and so we've kind of created a list of the capstone achievements that a player can achieve. One of them being rewards for maxing your skills or your disciplines, and then decorations for housing. We're not done with the construction system yet, but we want that to be a major part of the game. Being able to complete a challenge should reward you with something that you can put in your house for other people to look at and say, wow, you did a really good job doing that thing. Titles for players, similar to a lot of MMORPGs, where you have like a little blurb next to your name that signifies a certain achievement. Acquiring best in slot gear, guild/solo leaderboards, and then some PvP, arena, trade pack, and wildlands events. And then the last thing that I wanted to share for this entire section is keys. And keys are going to be a concept that is sort of similar to, I guess, mapping from Path of Exile. The idea is that keys will drop in the world, and it will be an item that you can activate and teleport you and or party members to a hand-drawn map that we have created. That area will have a flavor to it, like an ice area or a fire area or a demonic area. This will be like the ultimate horizontal type environment where you need to counter that area with the opposite element, or need to have resistances towards that element in order to achieve it. So each of these keys will have a certain damage type or a school that will test the player against that system. So it's a real horizontal area, but it will give you all verticality in terms of items. The best in slot items will be rewarded from here, but you'll have to kind of figure out the puzzle on how to optimize and achieve each of those keys. So these will be items, again, it's like sort of like a grinding system where you go through and complete it either by yourself or with a group, and then you'll farm keys out in the overworld or with bosses, and then kind of rinse and repeat that process. So that's sort of what we've been working on in terms of conceptualizing our near and long-term future. Again, this outline isn't a prescription for when we get things done. I didn't add a date to any of these. We're a small team, and so it wouldn't be fair to you guys to assign a date and then not deliver them. But we are definitely almost done with goal 1, and we're kind of migrating over to goal 2. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out, comment on this video. Feel free to subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be making a lot more of these videos now they have some content to work with. And then reach out to us on Discord. Again, we're really, really excited to be interfacing with the community, and we want to make this game the best that we can. Thank you all so much, and have a good rest of the day.